Everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, April 16th of 2023. Now, I actually had a very prolific week this week with things to write down and thoughts that came in. I filled up 4 full pages in my journal. I will tell you, if you don't have the journal habit dialed in, grab a journal. You never know when you have these thoughts that they come into you that are profound, because we are all given this gift. And if you don't write them down, a lot of times you lose them. And you had this profound thought that you wanted to share, and you just can't recall it. So this will be one of the most important things that you ever do if you haven't put this habit into place. So I was really blessed to have all these thoughts come in so beautifully, because my week was really super busy with just family members in from out of town, a little bit of a health emergency for a loved one. There was just a lot of things happening this week. We had a brand new product arrive. In fact, I'm just going to give a quick shout out. Our new kidney cleanse arrived on Friday, and this week was just super busy. So when you have these moments where you get these downloads, it's super important to take a minute and write them down. And I literally carry this journal with me everywhere. So put that into place. Now, the very first thing that popped into my head actually last Sunday, as I was going through my Sunday after I sent an email to you guys and my video from last week, I had this thought about, what does it really mean to have unconditional love? And I thought I would expand on that during the week, and then actually the thoughts that I had and the things I wrote down went into a completely different direction. But I wanted to just share with you, the main thought was, if you are truly practicing unconditional love, what does that mean? Does it mean that you put conditions on your love? Like, I'll love you if you act this way. I'll love you if you do this thing. I'll love you if you do what I think you should do in whatever arena of your life that maybe is connected to mine. And what unconditional love means is that there are no conditions. There are no conditions on your love and the love that you profess to have. And that, we always talk about it, but for it to actually come into your life and put it into practice is a whole nother thing. Now, the second thing that went along with that, which was really interesting to me, was the concept of giving without conditions as well. So think about when you give someone something. Maybe you give your grown child a really expensive gift, but then you have conditions on how they use it or what they do with it or how they take care of it. I had an experience where I gave someone something that I really wanted to keep, and it was something that I'd created, and they expressed profound love of it and joy of it, and they just wanted it in their own home. And this was a close family member who wanted something that I'd created. And I was like, well, no, I really love this. I want to put it in my own house. And then she said to me, well, I'll pay you for it. And I'm like, okay, no, you're not going to pay for something that you. So basically, what happened is it went into her home, and then it didn't get taken. It wasn't used the way I would have used it, and it's kind of starting to have some wear and tear. Like I know it wouldn't have had if it had stayed with me. And I was starting to find myself being a little bit bothered by that. And then I just had to go, it's not even yours anymore. Like, I gave this gift, get any say in what happens to it. And I was immediately able to change my mindset and go, I'm going to give, I'm going to love unconditionally, I'm going to give unconditionally. It needs to be with no conditions. And that is such a powerful mindset to have and realize it very quickly, because we can let these things escalate into anger and resentment, where maybe we don't talk to somebody for whatever reason. So if we're going to love unconditionally, if we're going to give with no conditions, there needs to be the literal unconditional. And to me, that is really, really beautiful. So that was, like I said, something I thought I would expand on more, but it only kind of went that far. So I have 3 kind of main things that I really just kind of wanted to expand on this week that I think not only have helped me, but I think that you might be able to see a piece of yourself in this, and maybe if not, maybe it'll kind of reiterate some of the things you already know and can kind of take you into this week with some clarity, some reconfirmation of who you are and how you want to walk through this, life. So the first thing is that if you don't learn to control your mind will control you. And this is something that we all know. And what triggered this is I had some out-of-town company that just actually left this morning, but they were here with me most of the week. They arrived on Monday. And what we started watching was this Netflix series called How to Change Your Mind. And it was prompted by a book that was written by Michael Pollan. Michael Pollan is a pretty well-known writer. I've read all of his books over the years. Probably the most famous one he's known for is called The Omnivore's Dilemma. And I read that many, many years ago, and I've since read his books. And a lot of them are food books and food based on getting back to Mother Nature and really the origin of our food and etc. But he wrote this book called How to Change Your Mind, and it was made into a 4-part docuseries, and it's on Netflix. And I'd heard about it, and while my siblings were here from out of state this week, we said, well, let's watch this. It's something I've been wanting to watch. And it's basically talks about psychedelics, which I think is becoming more in the forefront. And interestingly enough, this is something that's really piqued my interest the last couple of years. And this is partly what kind of triggered this for me, besides kind of the personal angst that I have felt over watching the last 3 years unfold. I just felt like I needed to thin the veil a little bit and get a rise in my own consciousness a little quicker than maybe I could do on my own. So I've really been interested in this to the point where I've been researching it. And there might even be some of you watching this who have some experience with this. But this documentary series, literally was mind-blowing and really, really well done. Michael Pollan is in the movie or in the series and narrating it and experiencing some of these things himself, and it's brilliantly done. And what actually made me get into this as well, besides the fact that I really feel like there's been a ban on some of these substances that could literally help raise the consciousness of humanity. And that doesn't serve the powers that be if we're a group of conscious people who have massive critical thinking skills. We don't want war, we want peace, and we're able to stand up for ourselves and the things that we know are going to evolve humanity and the rise of consciousness. So I do think that there's some of these plant medicines that have been suppressed. And in fact, this is something that I know even my dad talked about, not just in the medical realm, but even in the psychedelic realm. And even though I don't have personal experience with this is something that I would like to explore, if I'm being really, truly honest. But I've also been doing the research on bringing medicinal mushrooms into our line because we've been asked about them. I've personally been researching them for my own use and for those in my own family for some of the issues that they've been having. And here we are, the middle of April of 2023, and at the end of this month, in a couple of weeks, we actually have finally some medicinal mushroom, and I'm not talking about psychedelics, I'm talking about medicinal mushrooms that are coming into our line, which I'm super excited about. So I would suggest that if you have access to Netflix, that you open up that series. It's only 4 parts. They're about a little less than an hour each episode, and they're very, very well done. And I do think that it's a really good way to open our mind. So here's something that the Buddha said: the mind is everything. What you think, you become. And we have heard this over and over and over. We become what we think about. If we think we can't do anything and we believe that, then that is going to be our truth. If we think that we can do anything and we might have to work for it, we might have to get creative, we become what we think about. And to me, that's really powerful. So it might seem like an extreme statement, But here's the interesting thing. As human beings, there's a thought that we have over 60,000 thoughts a day. And most of the thoughts that we have are thoughts that have been programmed into us. And unless we make a conscious effort to change the things that we think about, we're not going to change. And because we're so deeply programmed, and it just becomes our loop. So humans are said to have over 60,000 thoughts per day. Most people are having their thoughts on autopilot, and many of them are not positive. Most people are programmed by society, the news, social media, and they believe everything they see and read. And this can still be true, even to a certain extent with me. I will watch things and look at things and scroll through things that confirm my beliefs. And until we truly realize how deeply programmed we are for things that we think are really important to believe, it's good to question everything. And it's good to pull ourselves out of these programs and really get some clarity and get some divine guidance. That's really what it's all about. And I think that we've lost the ability to act calmly and sensibly when we maybe have a situation where it could spur something like anger, and it could escalate. So learning to control our mind and our emotions is key to living a life of control. Not in the control of circumstances, but in control of how you feel about them. So we get to choose how we feel about a circumstance, and it can completely change the way that the circumstance is perceived, even, because there are so many things that are beyond our control, but we can control what's in our thoughts and in our mind. So this is actually even more important than being in control of the circumstances, because that is something you have no control over. You control your mind and emotions through daily rituals, consistent self-work every day, and repeating powerful processes. Now, some of these powerful processes can include things like meditation, daily gratitude, prayer, exercise, and then detoxing from all forms of negativity, which are typically these sources like the things we read, the things we watch, and the information that we allow into our mind and our energy field. These are the things that we can control, and these are the processes that can help us control our mind and the things that we believe. So all of these things are crucial to living a beautiful life. I love that. Ultimately, every individual is responsible for how they feel. You get to be responsible if someone says something that might make you upset or angry, or you think they're totally wrong on a political situation or something that's happening in the world. You get to choose how you respond to that. And I love the thought of responding calmly and sensibly, and to really be emotionally flexible. This is a skill that has really been lost in our modern world. And it's a beautiful thing to come back and to really practice. So that was really kind of the first big thing that I thought, when we are able to control our thoughts and help our emotions stay in a place of stability, this is where many, many things change. So here's the second one. Circumstances will never define you unless you decide to let them. If you are blessed enough to reach adulthood, there is a 100% chance that life will dish up some things you did not plan for, nor things that you would want in your life experience. There's a 100% chance of that. There's not a 95% chance, a 50% chance. Now we can to a certain extent control the outcomes of some circumstances, but for the most part, we can't control the circumstances that happen, but we can control how we respond to them. And to me, that is really where it's all about. So really what these things are is these things are called character building moments. They're life lessons, right? Here's something that Wayne Dyer said. When you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. We all know that we can reframe our past. We can take traumatic events that happened in our past, and we can actually reframe the past and literally change our past by the way that we look at it. We can take traumatic events, we can even take a happy event, and we could reframe it and make it an unhappy event. We can take anything and reframe it. So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I truly love that. Maya Angelou said this: you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them, which is super, super amazing. I'm going to get a drink because I don't want to stop. I have a tickle in my throat. If you got to a minute 15, I think you're okay with that. And I don't do any editing, so you get me with all of that. So those are two powerful quotes that I found that I think are really amazing. So continue to give your best when challenges come to you. So when challenges come, do your best. And that is actually one of the 4 agreements. Always do your best. Now, it might not be something that you can be super proud of as far as the actual optimal outcome, but always do your best. Be open to the fact that you do not know how anything or most things will turn out. Be open to the fact that you don't know how things are going to turn out. Find meaning even in the hardest moments. That one's easy, right? That one is easy if we choose to make it easy. Always do your best and find the good and the growth moments in the challenging hard times. Okay, now the last one is this, and this one is actually a favorite and a great way to end this. Life is not meant to be so serious. Make time for fun, for joy, and for play. The real secret of life is to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. That is the real secret, to be completely engaged. Now, it's been interesting this week because when you spend time with people in physical form that you don't normally spend a lot of time with, especially if they live in a different city or you just maybe interact with them on the phone, when you spend time with them, and this happens at times when maybe you go out to dinner, say you go out to dinner with a group of friends or even a close group of friends you live in the same city with, you get to see things that make you realize, well, this is not exactly how I want to live my life because I want to be more present. And we've all heard, and I've even said many, many times, when you're with other people, put your technology down. Don't have the little notification thing. Keep it on silent. If you have to have your phone with you, I would even say put it away. I grew up in an era where there wasn't all of this. And you never think you're going to date yourself. You never think, oh, you're so old fogey. Remember when we had this and we had old dial phones. And, the thing is, the technology has changed. And technology has changed a lot. And we have our technology with us 24/7 for the most part. And some people, it's with them, it's an extension of their hand. And it's an extension of their body. It's by their bed, it's by their plate at the dinner table. So you start to realize that you no longer are able to be present and full of joy and happiness and utter play when you are always getting notifications on your phone and you're checking your phone. You get so sucked into that. So the real secret of life, I'm going to say this again, is to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. Instead of calling it work, realize that it is play. What if you went to your daily job, whatever it is you do for a living, and you found a way to do the work and do it well and do it with integrity and honesty and to the best of your ability, but you found a way to look at it as play. Many of us who work and who, no matter how old you are when you quit working, as far as working that earns you money, or no matter how young you are, many of us simply go to work and watch the clock, can't wait for it to end. But we spend most of our life at work. A chunk is sleeping, a chunk is working, and then the parts in between are sometimes we're just taking care of business, we're taking care of other people, we're feeding our families, we're we're cleaning our house, we're doing chores. But what if you found a way to make work, whether it's the work that earns you money or the work that keeps your life in order, as play? What if we changed that and didn't take everything so seriously? Some of us take things so serious all the time. It's time to change that. Don't trust anyone who tells you that life has to be so serious. If someone is like, you're having too much fun, and they might really think that. They might be thinking that you just take life not so serious. One of the things that brought this up for me this week is I have a sibling here who lives in Southern California. Actually, I have two, but one in particular I don't see very often, and he is my brother. He is a Native American, one of the ones that my parents adopted. My parents had 11 natural children and 3 Native American children that they adopted when they were all very tiny. And they're our siblings, full on. And he has the most beautiful, twinkly laugh. And everything has this underlying joy in it. And he has done a lot of self-work. He's really connected with his Native American roots as an adult. He just turned 59, so he's got this beautiful life wisdom. And spending this entire last week with him was such a gift because he always takes care of business, but he finds so much joy in every single moment. And like I said, he has the most beautiful, twinkling laugh. That energy and that enthusiasm for the pure joy in life, that spills over, and it's so infectious. To me, I love that so much. So when you are young, life is nothing but fun, right? Think about everything is fun when you're young, and we along the way, some of us even maybe beat that out of our kids in the thought of being, you got to get good grades so that you can go to college, and you got to do this so you can do this, and you get, don't you laugh when I'm talking to you, or we just beat the joy out of ourselves and our children and our family members so don't trust anyone that tries to beat the joy out of life. Like, that is not a fun person to be putting your thoughts and everything into. That's just not the way to do it. So it's easy to forget that our lives do not last forever. It's easy to forget that we're mortal. And, you, like all other humans, will die. That might sound doomsday, but it's not. It's just the truth. It's just the fact. When we remind ourselves of the impermanence of it all, really take that in, we can take life a lot less seriously. So really think about the impermanence of this all. This is not a permanent condition. We have this beautiful human body to take us through life and enjoy it and be happy and have not laughing at someone, but laugh with life, laugh with your fellow humans and the people that you surround yourself with. Be that twinkling person who brings joy and doesn't take life so seriously. I want to be around people like that, and I would suspect that most of you do too. So create a life that feels good on the inside, not that just looks good on the outside. And you know what? I'm going to leave it with that. That seems like the perfect place, right? So don't take life so seriously. Have unconditional love and let it be with no conditions. Give of yourself with no conditions. And so it's not just giving things to people. I'm going to wrap this right back around to that first thought I had. Don't just think, I gave you this and now you need to take care of it like I want you to. And I spend my time helping you with this, and when you got sick, I spent all this time making you meals, and now you don't do the same for me. Give and love with no conditions. Really be the person that lives the example of an unconditional life. Unconditional loving, unconditional giving, and full of joy and love and happiness and laughter. This is where it's at. And I know there are hard things happening in the world right now. There's a lot of shifts. And I've said a couple weeks ago that, I have this really good friend who is giddy at the changes that are happening. And they're hard changes to watch, right? And there's hard things happening that are, it's just like, what is humanity doing? What are we doing? And I think if we can control the thoughts that we have and bring them back to love, bring them back to joy, realize the power of these personal habits that we put into place that can help guide us and can bring our mind back to one of oneness and love and just fun. Life's not that serious. No matter what we think, no matter what we see, and we look at all the crazy things happening, we need to quit taking ourselves so seriously. And that's how we change the world. We change the world with ourselves and one kind act at a time. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know I always get so much out of this as I think about what I want to bring and talk to you about on Sunday. I know that I always get so many blessings by thinking, what little inspirational thought do I want to share? And it helps me focus on what's inspirational in this world. Where's the positive? Where's the beautiful things? So this puts me on this path of looking at my day, looking at my week, looking at the things that happen in my life that might be hard, and it helps me put this big blanket of gratitude over the way I walk through my life. And if I even resonate with one person that watches this, then mission accomplished. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in and sharing. Subscribe if you haven't. Give it a thumbs up, and have a beautiful, brilliant week. We'll see you next time.